Bing, 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 bing. We're live. Here we are. It's the Modern Fowler Scrum. We have Stamatios, we have Nicola, we have Brent, we have Sam. Here we are. It's Tuesday. I'm just going to mute you, Nicola, just in case. Do unmute yourself when you need. Just like come on as you do. I think we had that little crackle there. Modern Fowler Scrum. My name's Joseph. Andrew Richards. What's going on? I have been working on getting the new sponsorship form sorted out, simplified. Actually, people have started applying to that. Whoa, that's pleasing. We do have several sponsorships for Adam Richards Premium Mob and non-mob memberships. Ask me about that if you're interested. What else is going on? I've spent the morning, again, mainly on this LibreOffice stuff for the membership database. Very strict backup protocol using Dropbox. That is now kind of working. We had a great Agile Ventures community meeting yesterday. Lots of chat. Probably suggesting we won't immediately change the names of the scrums and maybe focus on trying to run new members meetings a bit more regularly. There is not such a full schedule today. The RSpec mob is coming up at the top of the hour. Anything else going on? I've got the NHS wiki paid project after the Kent Beck Scrum, but yes, hopefully a relatively calm day. Fingers crossed. We will see. Brent was in first. How are things going with you, Brent?
Yep, I'm good. I started to work on the embedded map bug, but I've realised that actually I've sort of halted work at the moment because looking at it, I think the best place to fix this is actually going to be in the helper that's in my previous pull request. So
okay.
I don't know whether it's best to wait for that to be merged or to merge those into a new branch. And then, so I'm thinking it might be better to wait for that to be merged, but I don't know what your thoughts are. But other than that, there's no blockers.
Great. Yes, and well, that's a very interesting question, and let's discuss that at the end. But I think I had missed an update there, but yeah, we'll talk about more of that at the end. Good show. We'll move on then. Thank you, Brent. I think Nicola was in next. Nicola, how are things going with you?
Good. Yep. Today I think that I'm gonna take a rest from the RIDE 5 upgrade. I'm gonna take a look to the map resizing issue that we have.
Right.
And I was wondering on website 1, we have a lot of dependable pull requests, right?
Yes.
I want to help with that if possible, but I don't know if the best thing that we can do is just to push the changes to the pull request that we have on that dependable has done, or we just create another pull request.
Because
dependable is just going to close it. So if it sees the same upgrade that he's trying to do, so.
Yeah, the immediate thing I was thinking is on website 1, I think we have the same devise issue, which I suspect will be fixed in the same way that you fixed it on the local support. So the quick win would be to look at the devise pull request that's currently open on website 1 and do there were many more of the dependable things on website 1. I've closed. I mean, I've merged a lot of them. The outstanding ones tend to be. I tend to keep up with that, and so the outstanding ones usually have some sort of issue that will need fixing before it can be merged. But they also they need to be rebased to develop and this, that, and the other. So you can sort of kick them off again. I would definitely start with that devise one. I'm excited about the idea that the same fix, because I suspect there's similar code. Anyway.
Okay.
Good stuff. I'm also interested in kind of looking at the latest stage of the Rails 5 bug if we have time today. But we don't have to look at that if that's you want to switch tracks today.
Cool.
Yeah. Unless there's anything else on your mind, Nicola.
Nope, nothing else.
Good stuff. Let's go. Thank you, Nicola. Let's go on to Stamatios. Hey there.
Hey, good morning, afternoon, everybody. So I was working last night and earlier today on the local support feature that I was working on yesterday, which was the adding the markers to the map for the events, as well as the cucumber test. So everything I got everything to work out yesterday, even the tests. I just didn't check in the latest changes today, that I was working on. But I know that you were also talking about that you, or at least that I understood, you hinted that you didn't necessarily want the organization to be on the, you didn't want it to track an event by an organization, but rather by you wanted them to type in the address, or I guess a lat long. Is that correct?
Well, I think that's certainly a feature that we would probably want in the long term, but I think we can open that. I think having them, automatically associated with an organization, which they probably should be, and then inheriting the lat long from that is an absolutely fine in the first pass. And we could say, oh right, well we will need this other thing, so let's try and squeeze this additional functionality into this pull request. But that, I think that kind of runs. That will usually create more problems than it solves, if you know what I mean. Does that make any sense?
Right. But what I was actually planning to do, since I had finished, I didn't know if you, because I know that's what you, at least that is what I think that's what you want. Either I can continue to work on, I can check in the latest changes that I have right now.
Yeah.
And then continue to work on extending that feature with the I guess the postal code and the address, or I guess I just close out this issue and I guess you review it and whatever feedback you have, and then we move from there.
Indeed. Yes, and well, so I think that sort of there's various issues there. We can brings us to the end of the Scrum, and so Scrum done, and now we're in the after Scrum. The thing that you're asking about relates to what Brent is asking about, and this sort of like flow of pull requests, and often it's the case that one is working on a feature, you get something done, and then there's like a logical next step, but it's kind of oh right, shouldn't I be building this off the thing that I've just done, but that hasn't been merged in yet. That is sort of related to what you were saying, isn't it, Brent?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's that situation, and it's kind of it's tricky, particularly because of the way in which we're squashing pull requests when they come in. So for example, we've got Stamatios's pull request here, and it's got a number of different commits, some of which breaking. There's a new one that you mentioned that you're going to push in, and that's hopefully going to pass. And then when we merge this, all of these commits will be squashed down into a single commit, indicating this was the feature that was worked on, and that's going to give us a nice clean Git history to, when we're looking on the production server and seeing everything, that's going to make it much more easily and good, much nicer and good and more manageable. But what it means is that, and I think you counted this when you did that, you were doing that rebasing, Brent. You can up in the situation if you carry on working from the same branch, then sometimes the pull requests can kind of get out of sync subsequently, and it can end up all looking a bit messy in the GitHub interface.
Yeah, that was my real concern, because it did get messy, the last one.
Yeah. What I would say is, Stamatios, why don't you, if you can, push up the changes that you've got. Either ways, I get into a habit of just doing that kind of almost without thinking, just to make sure that you're backing up the work, because I guess the final changes that sort of fix it up, you've got them only running on your local machine. They only exist on your local machine at the moment. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
So that's a situation that as a person who's been using computers for coming up to 50 years. No, it's not really 50 years. It's more like 30. Anytime when I've got something on only one computer, I'm like a little bit nervous, like, oh no, we might lose it. So yeah. I mean, I used to use Time Machine, but then it slowed the computer down. I'm pretty much, as soon as even if I'm like, oh, end of the day, right, the always thing I make myself do is that last git commit. So if you could just pop that up in the background, maybe let's jump into now, Brent, what you're saying is, so we've got the ad click-through tracking from you, where I missed your comment there, but I guess we spoke about this yesterday. You've got it so that it's now passing.
Yeah, this is where I had to add that there's that timing issue. Yeah,
there's that timing issue, which is not ideal, but it's certainly not the end of the world. There, and I like, since you spent a chunk of time on it. I was just, let me look at it briefly. So this is the test that we've got here, is that we've got given, and so then I should open Charity Treasure in a new window. Is that a new or an existing?
No, because this is where the old code added there's certain types of vol-ops in the old code that opens in a new window. So if it goes to like an external site, it opens in a new window. If it goes to an organization that's within the local support site, it opens it in the same window.
Yeah. I think I probably should avoid getting distracted by the. So this is it's sort of the core pressure here, in that, like, as the project maintainer here, I want to. This is functionality that the client wants. Brent's put effort into this. I want to get this merged, and I've got to balance that against, we want to sort of check that it coheres and fits in with the rest of the code base. And let's pull origin there. So I've got the very latest code. Yeah, so there are like small things that if I had this code and I was working on it individually, we weren't the four of us here now, that I might make, but I don't know that any of them are necessarily worth making a big song and dance about. I guess just looking at it, I should sensibly do a review, and I maybe shouldn't do that in front of you folks now. The bigger question we have, which is one that comes up not infrequently, is, given that you're thinking that you could sensibly build your next thing on top of this, what's the thing to do? Do you put that off for the moment and wait for it to be merged in? Do you kind of like branch off the existing feature branch to kind of continue working on top of that? Which I guess are the two key options. And I guess if we just look quickly at the pros and cons of those two things, and this is it's pretty much identical to what Stamatius you're talking about there. So what we've got is we've completed a feature. So now, next thing would go well immediately on top. We've got the pull request is in, they are submitted, but not reviewed / merged. So our options are, one is wait for the merge, for the review and merge. And two is, we'll put here like branch off existing feature branch. So I guess can we pull out here like the pros of what? So the pro of one is that there's always the chance that although the PR submitted it, it's gone green, and you think it's all working, that there's going to be something that comes up from the code review that actually impacts the way that you would build the next feature.
Yep.
So probably the conservative, safer approach would be to say, switch to something completely unrelated. And we're a different project, different feature on the same project, what have you, and allow kind of it to gestate, so to speak. The other alternative is to the client's demanding this next thing, it needs to come. I've built this, I'm certain that it all works and it's the right way to go. I want to branch off the existing feature branch, and you can do this. We would have to experiment with the way our squashing. The pros of one is gives a chance for issues that would affect next feature. Nicola,
one thing, if we get the Rises 5 issue, I mean, if we get all the tests to pass, it's going to have a lot of conflict with a lot of current branches, because it's all the models and I think several tests. So I don't know, maybe I will like it to wait for review and merge that one.
Yes. What are your
Talking about the one for
Rose 5?
Brent. No.
Oh, well, for Brent's one, you're saying that probably rather than building more things,
Yep.
you're thinking,
because,
this is perhaps the more sensible.
Because we are going to have a lot of more conflict if we keep adding things with option 2.
Indeed. Yeah, well, independently of whether one branches off the existing feature branch, yeah, I mean, it certainly adds for complexity. It takes more time to deliver second feature. 2 is then the cons of 2 are more merge conflicts. Yeah, so I think I come down with Nicola in saying, yeah, probably the thing to do is, I mean, I'd say for Brent, since you were also talking about working on the async voter, it might be good to wait for this and kind of switch tack, if that makes.
Yeah, I mean I think that's my preference anyway, because I can fix it. So I think there's a third option here, is that I can fix the existing code.
Right.
But looking at it, I think there's a lot more effort doing that, and then we'd have to, refix it. So I think it's my preference is to wait for the review merge, because I think it reduces complexity, it reduces risk of that, like you say, of possibly we might have to change the new PR, which then just means that you're changing it in 2 places.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I just wanted to be sure that that was the right thing to do, but that was what I was, I guess, swaying towards anyway.
Yes. So I think we've answered Brent's question there. And so Stomatius, does that all make sense? Any thoughts on the relative pros and cons of different approaches?
Actually, to be honest with you, I was actually working on checking it in while you guys were talking.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm not necessarily following along, but I'm reading it right now.
I'm glad we're down.
No questions at the moment.
Yes, that was. It occurred to me in the background of my brain that that the checking in process might prevent you from being involved there. But yeah, so we were coming down on the side of waiting for review merge, which and now for Brent, if he's eager to get on something, he has got involved in some other projects. For yourself, Stomatius, I think so far you're only set up with local support, and so you're keen to get on with the next thing and to know how to do it, having done your first PR and got the first chunk done.
Right.
What are you? Well, I guess what we can certainly do is, since you've pushed up that other code, we can go and have a look at that. Yes. So is that is this, or am I seeing it? Let's see. Am I seeing the latest code? It says there like a day ago. Maybe the code hasn't come through from you yet.
It says the last one, it says final commit.
Okay. Yes. Oh, so it's come through and it's given us. So we're getting some sort of failure on. Oh, what happened there? I'm trying to look at the. Why are you not showing me the? Here we go. So what it has done is we've got. So this is the other thing. The other advantage of ensuring that you push the code straight up is that our code climate system will run. Sometimes you can ignore the code climate stuff. It's automated. It's showing a couple of things here that are pretty trivial things, but they're nice to get cleaned up. We've also got some kind of failure. If only Travis would just show us the failure. Yeah. So there's we're getting some kind of failure here that presumably you're maybe not getting locally, or have you run the RSpec tests locally?
I did not run the RSpec. Perhaps I misunderstood you. I think you had said that the Cucumber tests automatically run RSpec, but I guess you have separate tests run.
The Cucumber tests under the hood use RSpec syntax, but we have both Cucumber and RSpec tests separately, and the Cucumber tests are acceptance tests, and the RSpec tests are generally unit tests, although some integration tests. Yeah. So yeah, you would probably want to. I mean, I often push things because I'm always pushing up the last thing. I often rely upon the continuous integration to run all the tests for me, and I don't necessarily run all the tests locally because sometimes they take a long time. But here in this case, having encountered now there's some RSpec, and this is not necessarily anything you've done wrong on your part. It's just that you can see we've got some things with the events controller spec, and I might argue for saying we need to delete all the controller specs because I don't know that they're really offering us value, as that we've been sort of talking about. But so this is the kind of thing, is that you've got the feature working, your acceptances are passing, all the other acceptances are passing. We've now got like a unit or an integration test wrapped around part of the events controller, which is, I'm not sure how much value this is really giving us, apart from just slowing us down in this context. We should, I mean, we can kind of look at them individually. You will find all of the unit and integration tests in the spec folder. We've got the two folders there, features and spec. So we can jump in there and see, you know, we've got the events controller spec, and it's doing things here like it should. These are all kind of like boilerplate bits and pieces. You know, it expects events to be assigned. You know, this is all stuff that, well, you know, the acceptance test is going to pick up anyway. You could argue this will run faster and show you a problem about this, that, and the other. But anyway, I mean, it's probably here more to do with the factory. You know, there'll be some esoteric thing in there, potentially not too difficult to solve, but I could also help you with. So I think that comes down for your pull request, which I've now lost in the teaming different bits and pieces, is although that you thought that you were done, there may be some more work to do before it's quite finished up.
Surely. I can definitely take a look at all that stuff and tests.
Yeah.
Take care of the code climate and the Travis CI issues. Cool.
And I say, just do also, as you're sort of, and now you're sort of in the cleanup phase, as I say, you think it's working. Although, you know, what we've also got to look at is helping you with the flow and the development and making sure that the tests definitely fail in the right way. And there's all sorts of bits and pieces. Although we also want to get your code merged in. There are also little things here. A couple of things like we try and ensure that the pull request description has a link to the related ticket. And then also, if you can make sure that the last commit has, you know, syntax like this that finishes. What it means is that when we merge it, it will automatically close the related pivotal tracker ticket.
I see.
If that makes sense.
But is this for the comments, or you're talking about for the pull request?
There's two things here in our contributing. There's one about the pull request. So specifically here, we'd like to see the URL to the related ticket so that anybody reviewing it can like click straight through and immediately get the context of the ticket that they're reviewing this pull request in the context of. And secondarily, there's having a comment, the git commit comment, which will then, if that is added to the actual, you know, a final commit. Say that when you do the code climate fixes or what have you, and you push that up, if you just add this text with obviously the appropriate number, not that number, that will then mean that there's one less thing to take care of, which is making sure that the fact that the ticket's being finished worked on is closed on Pivotal. So I'll just pop that in here. Then, so one of the other things is now, of course, Brent, another option in that you might feel like, oh, I don't want to switch away from local support. Other things that can be done is that it doesn't always have to be me, although I'll definitely review all the pull requests. There's also reviewing each other's pull requests is a great thing to be doing, kind of for the, you know, like understanding of how everybody's bits of pieces of code fit together. If we were all kind of working on this full time, which we're not, but if we were all working on this full time, then a pattern that we might have of the day might be that we would all spend the first half an hour looking at each other's pull requests and adding comments and things, and then we'd spend the rest of the day working on our own things or pairing or what have you, and that would be a sort of a a regular way of understanding what's going on with each other's code, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I do tend to do that, actually. I just don't really comment. I guess that's a confidence thing, but I do tend to look at other, because I use that as a learning thing, selfishly as well. Yeah,
absolutely. I think there's a lot of learning that comes from that, and well, that's great, because I think I've talked to you about it before. It's great to hear that you're doing that, Brent. I mean, the other thing is, so one of the things, if you feel free to just put like a little thumbs up, if you're there's no need to make a comment, but absolutely, if you look through the code and it's like, okay, that kind of makes sense and what have you, then you can just pop oh, that's not the right place. No, I've done the wrong thing. No, stop. No, I've broken it. No, what's going on? Okay, cancel. Okay, gosh, suddenly lots of things. Oh yeah, there's a smiley face. They're there, so you can just put a thumbs up on the thing, and then cool. So. But the interesting thing that Nicholas said, I guess, any further questions or thoughts from you, Stamatius, before we move on?
No,
good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, and do feel free to follow me on Twitter if you want to get a pairing session where we look at anything, all this stuff in more detail. Brent and Nicola are on particular levels of the premium thing as well, so they get priority review on their pull requests, and then also access to different levels of this, that, and the other. If I'm, slow sometimes in getting to your particular pull request, it may be because I'm prioritizing the premium members. But we do have like sponsorships, as I mentioned, for getting premium access. If you're interested, just let me know. So the other big thing that we've got going on is upgrading Rails, and that's So it's going to be painful in terms of sorts of different things. There
are some things that I would like to point, for example, but I didn't know if I should have make like a comment on the particular part of the code that I want to receive review. For example, I have modified the test that we are using for the background shops. And just because the things that we were using are deprecated, but I don't know if what I've done is the specific thing that is replacing what it was done before. So, will you like me to just make comments there, tagging you or Brent?
Yeah, definitely tag me and say, drawing my attention to things. That's wonderful.
Okay, cool.
What I would particularly say is that all of the things we're talking about link back to, ideally, we don't want pull requests to be open for very long. In the ideal world, they're kind of like they are very, very short-lived. I was listening to a podcast this morning in which they're talking about destruction-focused development, and I think a company where basically all feature branches and bug fix branches would be deleted at the end of the day. You only ever had a day to work on them, and then it was like bang, it was gone, and then you'd have to start working on them again.
Cool.
which is a a pretty radical approach. But I think that the motivation is accurate. That the longer that a pull request is open, the longer that a branch kind of exists, the more potential problems that are being stored up. Run. So there's kind of for all of us, if we can get the Rails 5 thing in sooner rather than later, then that's to our advantage. I think I was, after the things that we were looking at yesterday, I was getting to the point where I was pretty much understanding the sort of block that you were at, and you had managed to make it like partially work by changing this volunteer ops helper. Yeah. Is there any reason?
But after that, I realized that we were just making it wrong because we are creating a new object when. The only thing that we need to do is just to update what exists. So that was the issue. My last comment on Slack is just
and we've got these things in here. Shall we have a look at this in the context of is there like at the moment only a single test failing, or are there multiple tests failing?
You will have multiple tests failing regarding the same issue.
Okay, so there's multiple tests, but they all seem to come down to the same issue. They're all for this. Of course, that's going to take ages to load. Okay.
Yeah, because the thing that I done, for example, when I hacked the helper, the only issues that you have are only 2 issues.
Right.
And those 2 issues are triggered by the save method that we have, and that method it is saying that we are trying to save an object that already exists.
Right. So, I guess the thing that I'm not understanding at the moment is when you say you hacked this method, can we not just change this? I mean, I know it won't fix the bigger problem, but at least is that? I wonder if
I mean, if you want to change it, you just have to do volunteer.op.exist
object and
ID and
yeah, and so this is where, like, if we do that, I've grabbed that code from Slack and we put that in there. Is that now? Is that a reasonable permanent change? Is there any reason why you would not check that in to the feature branch?
Yeah, because I think that the problem is before that, when we are creating the object, not when we are just asking there.
Right. You think that this won't? Okay. This like
because that one is going to the database. Right.
Right, but it's going to the database to check if there's something with this ID exists, and if this is nil, it's just gonna. We can make sure that it. Well, anyway, let's see if we can. I mean, I guess also, what I want to do is I want to get to a representative error and get it kind of under the microscope on my own machine to see if I can give. I mean, maybe that. See, you're progressing extremely fast here, Nicola, and you're making extremely good progress, and. Yeah, getting to the more difficult and complex bugs where I'm not necessarily can easily go, oh ha ha, we just do that anymore.
Yeah.
Let's see. So here, right, this is this set of things. So it all relates to this. So if for example I grab precisely this, and then we can do be cucumber here, and run. And get precisely that issue here, and I mean it's sort of we're now in the after Scrum. I think it's the don't feel that people have to stick around, but I think this is worth spending a little extra time on because it's so important for the project. Right, and so the error we're getting there is about the lack of a root match, and you're saying like. All of these are for the lack of the root matching, in that it's trying to put organization friendly volunteer op. So
can you show me the error that you just received?
Yep. And that seems to be the same error in the CI. I guess we should also check that I'm on the latest. So if I do git log, am I on the same?
I think you are.
Yeah, this is the latest code from this morning, like 9:50. Okay, but so let's go and grab. So this, what was this? What I actually ran here? It was create feature volunteer opportunities, feature 23, and let's jump through the sequence of this. So this is we're not events, we're volunteer opportunities. Create volunteer opportunities 23. So org superadmins can create a volunteer opportunity. So given that I am signed in as a charity worker related to Friendly, and I submit a volunteer op, hard work for no pay, on the Friendly page. So that is the point at which we get the issue. And so that's hitting here into volunteer op steps. So it can't actually, oh God, we're using some kind of complex thing, so I can't automatically jump for that. So let's go and look at the volunteer op steps, line 2. Okay, this is, I find this really annoying. If this, oops, what happened there? It's something telling me about, it's calendar notifications. Yeah, is that when the regex is pulled out separately, RubyMine can't jump automatically to it. But anyway, okay. So we're going in here. I guess what I'm almost tempted to do is to run it and get to that point and see what's happening.
Yeah, that's weird because I don't remember that issue.
Okay, that looks like a different error than the one that you were on.
Yep.
I mean, for all of the, I mean, like you said, there's multiple errors. They all seem to suffer from this routing error, right? That's what we're seeing on the CI. Did you have a very different? It wasn't even a routing error that you were having.
No, the routing error that I was having was because the form that we were using for volunteer op, it wasn't sending a put, it was sending a post. So when we were trying to update, I had to specify that
Right.
that put it needed to be done. So
maybe this is, I can see this unable to find visible link or button update volunteer opportunity. Is this actually the error that you were working against?
yeah.
That was the one. Right.
So I think this.
So maybe I should start on that rather than on this one with the that's got the root issue.
What?
I'm trying to sorry, I know it's difficult to read when the screen is on the visible button there. That's super admin successfully changes volunteer opportunity location. Yeah, so there's a separate one here. Okay. So I mean, I had got set up there to sort of step through what's happening with this one. I guess since I'm there, I might just sort of step through. So we've got, we've got an organization friendly. We visit the organization path. We click the link. When do we get the actual error for this one? Comes in at volunteer ops steps on line 9. When we're going to really. Let me just step forward in each of these. So there, we're going to visit the organization path. We're going to click the link, create a volunteer opportunity. Fair enough. We're going to expect to be on the new organization volunteer op path. We're going to fill in title. We're going to fill in description. And then we're going to click on create a volunteer opportunity. And we would assume, let me just, come on, out of the way. I'll close others there. I assume we're going to end up coming in through the volunteers controller. So this is the point at which we've already loaded so we've used edit to load some version of the form, which has all had, it's set up as expected. When we submit that, it's going to hit update. So if I do next now, no, it's going to go straight. It may be too late for that. It's already loaded the code. But so yeah, it's got the failure. So yeah, and so that indicates that as I think you're saying, that the problem is with the form there. It should have, put is what we do when we create a new record, and post is when we, or the other way around. I always forget, but yeah, you're thinking that the form has used the wrong HTTP method action there, and that's why we get that problem.
Yep.
But then we've got this other, when we run this test, this gets stuck because the wrong kind of label is just not present. So this here, let's update. Now in this, let's go to this test. This is now admin edit volunteer op feature. So this is in our admin tests. Where are our admin tests? Here, admin edit volop feature there. And so given I am signed in as a super admin, when I visit the show page for the volunteer op titled Litterbox Scooper, so that's going to go and find a particular page. Hold on, so show page. Okay, so it's loaded the page there. Now the interesting thing here is it's visiting the show page, but it's the update method has been called, which is very interesting.
Maybe the change that I've done to the form is not the correct one.
Well, it's interesting. I guess what I kind of want to immediately, I guess what I also do here, I'll just continue here, and we'll see that. Right, and then now here, Well, this is interesting here because I think this is the error that you were getting as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got this issue
because when it's trying to update, it doesn't see cleanup cat mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the object is never saved.
Yes, and well, the interesting thing here that I observe is that the error that we're getting here in the CI, it's saying it's unable to find the button. But so I don't know if that the CI is but we're seeing.
Well, now you will be able to, if you run it, you should be able to see it because you just changed the helper. So.
Did I change the helper? Right. That's right. Okay. Yeah. That's tricksy of me. Okay, I did do that already. So I guess I'm just going to change that back and replicate the original error. So we've got this. What I also want to do is find out precisely what URL is it hitting. Is this now gonna, did I put a by bug in there? I think I did. So we've got admin edit volunteer op feature, and right, it's going to go here, and I didn't put a by bug in there. What's what I want a by bug? So this has got like a rather convoluted method there, right? And so that fails, doesn't find the button. Okay.
Yep.
But I want to know what it's trying to visit. Yeah, we've got the edit show page there.
The thing is that it won't find the button with the update, but you will have a button that says create.
Sure. Right.
So,
now that we're running. We're running. Oh, that's admin edit 35. Okay, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Okay, sorry, I was looking through this one for some reason. We're doing 35. Yeah, so the update thing, well, that makes sense now. So it's like I'm signed in as a super admin, and when I update, here, yeah, okay. So that's the place where we go in. So I'm on 35. Sorry, so the it's so important to like check and double check where you're coming in from, because it ends up not making any sense at all. Yeah. So here we grab the volunteer op from the database, and we decide to visit the volunteer op path. So I should just be able to like run that, and so it's going to. Interesting. Oh, I haven't done that. Let's get the vol op. Okay, so it's just going to display the volunteers, and then it's clicking on edit. Okay, fair enough.
And you will be able to go to the edit, but you won't see the click on update volunteer opportunity because it says create volunteer opportunity. Yeah.
So we're going to get in here. We can click on edit. Yep. We can fill in the description there, and yeah. So if we do page.body, I'll just grab the whole lot of it. Did I previously work out some way of automatically resetting this? But yeah, so we get the whole document that it delivers, and of course, part of this I'm just reiterating stuff I think that you already know. But again, it's about bringing my brain.
Yeah, all together with all the things that are working.
Yeah. But so this is it's instead of what we're finding in here, and if I can find out there, we're finding basically the form says the value is create a volunteer opportunity.
Yep.
And so this is the thing that does that. And so now, can we see the usages? So I'm trying to understand the broader aspect of this. Find the usages of the button text. So
it's being used only in the form.
Yeah. And it's, here we go. Let's grab it.
But interestingly, was this passing before Rails, the work you do, Nicholas?
Yes, I believe so.
Which is bizarre, isn't it?
So, well, I mean, it's not so bizarre in as much as like the upgraded Rails 5 will be changing, some of these kinds of things, like the way it's checking for new records and so on.
Yeah,
so we basically go on.
Yeah, I think that the error arises with the assign
attributes.
Assign attributes. Yeah, because for example, if you are in the develop branch and you try to put a debug there in assign attributes, it won't stop there.
Right.
I don't know why it won't stop.
Yeah.
But if you do the upgrade to write 5, it will stop there. And
so there's definitely been some changes under the hood in Rails 5. But so if we just go back to like the context of what's happening here, which is that we've gone to the edit page, and I mean, so all the whenever this here we're in the form, it's always going to be passed through an object, which if we're editing is something that's been retrieved from the database.
Yeah, and the only thing that I added there, it was a HTML method put there.
Sure. But so we're either grabbing this database, or it's just we've created an active record object and it doesn't yet have any ID, it doesn't have any existence on the database. So it comes through here. We get to this point of the button text of this, and then so basically object new records. First thing, seems like that's behaving differently for Rails 5. Like the first question we might ask is,
that it was I was thinking, so that is why I wrote the other method that it was passing. But after that, you will realize that the method was working well, and that was my opinion, right? I mean, what I tried was the same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still grappling with like, so object new record. I mean, I guess what
it changed for me, my opinion is that the problem is with the model that is creating the volunteer op, because we are using volunteer op form as an attribute. We have the other model that is volunteer op, and it's being created with an overwriting that we are using to assign attributes. So I think that the changes that I've done there in assign attributes that are related to the hash is what is making something.
Yes, and so with respect, Nicola, you've mentioned all these things before, and I think you may well be exactly right. At the moment, I'm just trying to get my head into a place where I can kind of pull that data in, and I'm not quite there yet. I guess just simple steps is, so object new record now just doesn't work in the way that we expect. I think you stopped here on by bug before, right? And the object, I mean, what I was hoping to maybe just find here was something about some indication from Rails 5 changes, like why this wouldn't work in the way that we would expect.
Yeah, I do the same.
Yeah, you do the same. But so I mean, but there's it seems like there's no reason not to switch to this. This volunteer op exists. This will work both either way. So I mean, it's kind of you fixed it here.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you fixed that bit. So I mean, I'll just continue and I'll restart there. So
and now you can stop if you do that change. You can stop right in the save method that is being override.
Yeah, well, I've got at the moment I've got the by bug point is in the update thing. Well,
the cucumber
here,
I
got it in. Oops, don't go too far. Click on edit. Yeah, so now it should, like, because we've made that change, it updates. So now I've got it in update. So we're coming in through update. So the params that we've got are. The method put was fine here. Volunteer op is coming through. The volops that we've got at the moment. How many have we got in the? Oh, I can't use a short. Volunteer op count. We've only got one. So there exists at this point volunteer op with ID 1, right?
Yes.
That has. So that's the existing thing that we are now trying to update with these params, and the change that we are trying to make is, I guess we changed the description, haven't we? So the description has gone from cleanup cat
description and the title, I think.
Yeah. I think the title is the same. It's the description that's changed in the steps that we went through in the cucumber thing. Yeah. So the description is changing. So now we're going to grab that volunteer op record. like so, which is exactly what we think it'd be. Then now we're going to create a new volunteer op form based on that.
Yep.
Right. That's so interesting. As we looked before, this is so the
and you'll
volunteer.
find that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we can find it in the model. We've got this interesting. So this is basically serving as a kind of a wrapper.
Yes.
Over the thing.
For three different classes, because we have the do it there.
Right.
We have the volunteer up, and I think that you have other.
Yeah. Yeah. So we create that, and so this, the initialize method is not there. We've got attributes, accessor, presumably like active model means that it allows us to we end up setting the volunteer op or whatever it happens to be. In this context, we're just sort of setting it as that. Fair enough. Okay. So then we get the organization. And so basically you're telling me is it's going to fail on line 58 here when we try and save it.
Yep.
So the organization there is as expected. But we're going to go into the assign attributes. So it's assign attributes here. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
What we're doing. Let's get I don't know if these will actually work now, but we'll get get those two in there.
Yeah, because you already ran it.
Yeah. I mean, I can step in there.
Well, yeah.
And then I want to step out now. We've got so it's volunteer op params. We're going to get the params out. Fair enough. That should be fine. Okay, we're in here, and the buy bug's there. So assign attributes. So the params that we've got coming in here are now the assign attributes there. Those params at that point.
Yep.
That description is the original description, which I'm slightly surprised about. The volunteer ops controller, we're coming through here. This is the update operation. Volunteer op params.
Yep.
There has what's it done? Where's volunteer op params? Is there? Yeah, require volunteer op, permit all of those different things. I'm sort of surprised. Am I just because I thought no okay. So it's assist with feline sanitation, and we're changing it to be the more colloquial clean up cat mess. Fair enough. So the params are fine. So we step over next. Next, we've then got.
Maybe you want to go there to set up volunteer op params, because there we have a change that I've done. Yeah.
Gosh. But now that's actually inside the active model attributes. Signs. But set up volunteer. That didn't seem to quite tell me what I wanted to know about. Goodness me, this is
there.
So this one
is a private method there.
Okay, so it did right, and this is one that you're saying you've changed.
Yeah.
Right, and so that leaves us in this case now with having set them up. We've now got some params, and that looks superficially okay.
Yeah.
And so, but now we're going to pass that into, like, what was strange there is it went into active model attribute assignment as a function. Are we calling that as part of here? Do you see what I say?
Yeah, you went there.
Like, we were on this line here, and when I stepped into this line, it went into the volunteer op form. It kind of went into the attribute accessor. It grabbed the volunteer op. I'm not immediately sure why it would be doing that. And then when I went next from there, it jumped into attribute assignment in the active model. And I guess it just that stringified the keys, but it didn't look to me like it stepped through this code at all. But we will see. Might have to come back to that on another pass.
Maybe that is the method that we are using.
Well, yeah, absolutely. This is the method, cool. But when I did the step, I mean, maybe there was just my combination of things. But anyway, whatever the path it took, we can certainly say, yeah, it ran this and it's come back, and volunteer op params is now a string of key value pairs. That seems not unreasonable for it to be. So we step into volunteer op assign attributes. Interestingly, there, in doing so, we immediately find ourselves in strong parameters. Okay, so volunteer op has now had this assign attributes operation take place. The volunteer op here now, that looks like the appropriate change has been made.
Yeah, but the things, the changes are being made to a new object, not to the one that.
You think that this volunteer object has changed from what it was previously?
Well, yeah, I don't know. That is where I get lost.
Okay. No,
because I don't know what is happening there. If it is using the object that already exists, or if it is creating one with the new attributes of the object that we are trying to update.
Well, the interesting thing is that what we had is we had volunteer op record, and we created the volunteer op form, which wrapped that object, and then volunteer op we allegedly ran the assign attributes. Again, it's not popping into them in the way that I would sort of expect. Assign attributes, we've got a bug in there as well. This actually, no, this is the one that we're in at the moment.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So we're in here now. We're gonna check. We're gonna see. You know, the params at this stage. Do they have anything about? Supposed to do it is 0. So we're gonna step over that. Post to do it is going to be 0. Now here we're doing do it volunteer op params slice self class. Yeah, I mean, I assume that that's just
I didn't change that one. The only thing that I changed there it was to convert it to a hash.
Interesting. When I did next there, it just jumped on over here. So this is the point here where you think we're going to get the conflict. We've got volunteer
you can just go step and
if we stepped onto that, we've now got well, interestingly here, it's added like as a result of these things, it's added some extra bits and pieces. But yeah, so at the point is of here when we try to save. Then the interesting, so volunteer op form, we're going to try and save it, and that's where we're going to get the thing. I've got the
no. Well, the thing that you are going to save is the volunteer op, not the volunteer op form.
Right. So it's going to try and save the thing that it's wrapping. There. And so. But so presumably I can continue here and it would stop. Oh, well, the interesting thing there is, it's funny that I continue there and it doesn't stop on the by bug. That's where I wanted it to go. Yeah, and then we get this issue that it's doing an insert instead of an update at the point of that save. Yeah, very much. Well, the problem is very clear.
Yes.
Yeah. What we've got to get to. We've got volunteer op.
For example, if you stop the code there before the volunteer op save, you will see that all the fields of the object are being changed. And
really?
Yeah, and the only thing that we need to change is title and description, or description only.
Right.
So.
Okay, so we've got into here.
I think that you will have to do like here.
I mean, I'm going to get on. I think. But it's interesting. In this case, it's worked through here. Coming in, assign attributes. This time, interesting. Now it lets me step over them in the same way. Now we're in volunteer ops controller edit. Okay, maybe it's doing this 2 times. Now that's very interesting because well, some of these things we've come through, I guess, on the first path, maybe because of the way the volunteer form op is being used in the gosh, what's it called, in the view.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So we're coming through assign attributes there multiple times.
Yeah, and for example, if you don't use the earlier return that I just wrote in assign attributes, it will fail because sometimes params it comes empty.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. For example, if you do that, in
yeah, I mean, it almost seems like
the
it's
develop
got in
branch, it is also going to run because I think that is using the Google Map API or
that
something.
seems to me that's got into an infinite loop there for me. Yeah.
No, it will end. It will end. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But well, I mean, I control DD it out of some infinite loop there. Gosh.
The other thing that I didn't know how it was working, it was just that. I didn't know why it was being called so many times and what it was the thing that was making that that many calls. Yeah.
No. I mean, me neither there. I mean, it's yeah, we're in a bit of a sticky situation there. As you say, it seems like the volunteer op. Yeah, I'm frustrated there in that really the bug thing that I want to get to is precisely that one. I want to see what you say you saw about the
attributes of the object.
Yeah, like that they've all changed. The not that necessarily that's going to give me massive any more insight than you've currently got, but I'm just sort of keen to.
No, but maybe you realize, this one.
Yes, right. You never know.
Yeah.
The I mean, overall, it seems like we've got this, rather complex setup that I'm not sure what it's buying us. Let's get you to continue onto their setup update.
Here you can go just continue.
Yeah. Well, I'm sort of again here. Well, I guess I will do continue because is it going through? Okay, so now we're here in save. So what makes you say about that all of the things are changing here?
Because if you do volunteer up changes, you will see that all attributes are changing. It is like if it is a new object.
Yeah, this is behaving as if it's a new object.
Exactly.
Yeah, as if it's trying to create a new object from scratch.
Yes, and I think that is our problem.
Yeah, that's very much our problem. Yes, and now so what is in turn is causing that, because what we're doing is we're passing in an object.
Yeah,
we're passing in like an object that presumably we should be able to just make a change to it.
Yeah, the only thing that I think that it maybe is failing is the initializer of the attribute when we are saying if you go up, like up.
Yeah, the initializer.
There, in line 19. The only thing that I can think of is, okay, we are sending the new instead of sending the volunteer of.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could remove that and check. That seems unlikely.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. I mean, it seems to me that like where's the code in the volunteer ops controller? We've got, we're like the particular thing. I mean, the misdirection that we have here is that we want to update the volunteer op record. We're putting that in a wrapper, and then we're
passing
the params into the wrapper.
Yes.
And so it's at this point. So then this is the point at which we are kind of like manipulating the underlying object that's being wrapped here.
Exactly.
In the assign attributes, but that this is, I guess here, this is assign attributes on like an active record model. So this method here, that's like that active record model here. Yes. So I wonder if in Rails 5, is there something about the way that that method is operating? I mean, I'm getting confused here in the code. We've got save, like this process.
Well, I went to the active, I think that it was active record. Shem involves develop this branch, and I think they are calling different methods.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, they have changed. But I don't know if it is because it is recognizing that it's a new object.
Like now the thing here though, like it's like isn't that like here?
Yes.
So we're manipulating the why are we doing this at all?
Because if you receive params, it sometimes comes as a volunteer option. So you need to get it from there. The volunteer you need to just get it from there.
But it seems
the thing that we are using with the update is the last line. It never gonna use the return in the first one.
But yeah, and even what this seems to be like this here, like it's doing params. Like when I look at this, this thing, I want to tell.
We are doing that because sometimes we will have also the params for the do it volunteer up.
Right, but so yes, I'm just wondering though, like what I want to see for this is like params before and after. So like is the the way this works, we're going to start with params is going to be equal to various stuff. This, what does this slice operation? The parameters. This is like, I don't know. Let's got title, and then it's which is whatever hello, and then we've got this, and it ends up also with like do it, ID, whatever, doesn't matter. Okay, and then so this slice operation, and there's going to be like other ones here that are like other params that we do want, and this slice operation, taking this, like we've kind of splatted the list of attributes for volunteer, like this is like self class volunteer op attributes, which we've actually got here. We're grabbing dynamically all of the column names, and then here we are, this is going to remove things like the do it stuff from it. Is that what we think it's going to do?
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. And okay, so that's the setup volunteer. So there, that's the volunteer. So at this point, when we do assign attribute, like this volop params, we assume that's just going to be a set of that. It's like, this, like we would hope that in the case where they matched, it would not mark them as changed. So I mean, the question we sort of want to check is like before and after here, like what is marked change in volunteer op, right?
Yes, right.
And so that maybe you've already checked that, and so presumably we go from at this point nothing has been marked as being changed in volunteer op, and then at this point everything is marked as being changed.
That should be the case.
You check that, or that's what you think it might be the case?
I didn't check in the same code. I just went to the other branch on develop and saw what it was happening. So
Yeah.
It may be a good idea to stop it there and just check.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I'm very confused about why it goes round
But when
the loop
when
times.
after the new,
Mm-hmm.
mm,
I mean, we'll see if we can get it to stop there, but
I think that is not relating the attribute that we have inside volunteer op form with the existing volunteer
oh yeah.
op.
So at this time, there are no changes. The volunteer op params at this time consist of, yeah, that looks like the full set of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks sensible. So I guess the thing is to step into, now the interesting thing right there, so volunteer op at this point. Now I assume that, let's have a look, volunteer op at this point. No, well, I think that makes it look like your suggestion is correct. That what's happened here, like at this point, it's reaching out to get the volunteer op. And it's calling this method. It's finding like at volunteer op to be null. And it's just creating a completely new object.
Yeah.
So that, okay, so I think let's start that again. That's very interesting. I mean, we've got this whole thing with this convoluted code. One starts to ask the question, like, could we build simpler code in the time that it takes to work out how to fix the problem? But you're always like on the edge, like, oh, if I just look a little bit more, I can just, forget about lunch a little bit more, and we'll find out how to fix the problem.
Yeah, and you get like obsessed with the idea to solve it. Yeah,
you know exactly. So here we are at volunteer op. Like, so at this point, volunteer op is nil, but self.volunteer op is thing. So, I think I might know what the problem is. So I think that the problem may be, so what we've got here is we've got attribute accessor, and it's been set. And I think that I don't know if there's a change in Rails 5, but I have a feeling that what we need is this. That's going to be crazy, isn't it?
Okay.
I don't know, because self.volunteer op there, self.volunteer op, I'm not sure. But we can see clearly from here that the instance variable at volunteer op referred to in this way is nil. But, oh no, wait a sec. And self-volunteer op also returns nil. So at that point, oh, I'm sorry, they're both nil. It's like the self-volunteer op there has just called, it's just called this method.
Yeah, it is calling like itself and is returning volunteer.
But so that implies that at this point, for some reason, the volunteer op, which we had allegedly set, is not being set. So like that this operation here, when we do new,
doesn't count. Yeah, it is not.
Basically, it's not receiving.
Yes.
The volunteer op record for some reason, and maybe that's something like this function of active record or active model, sorry, has changed from 4 to 5. Like maybe this did work previously, right? So maybe what it needs to be now is that we actually have to set that explicitly.
Okay. Huh.
I don't know, but let's do this again. And also, I kind of want to stop there and see, like, well, anyway, I mean, it's just
let's try it.
there, set up volunteer, that's irrelevant. So we're sort of here at this point again. So let's look. Volunteer op at is still nil there. even after, I mean, I've got to stop on that update. Did we not hit that update at all? We didn't for some reason. I think this might be, this is the first. So this is maybe we're creating the form to begin with. Okay, now we hit update.
There.
Okay. Next. So here we can do @volunteer op is the form, but we've got so volunteer op there. At the moment, it's nil.
Yes.
Now we step over and we try and set that. Now that's correct, right?
Yes.
And we continue. Now we're back here. In this context now, volunteer op is now correct. That's what we expect it to be. We're going to step over here. I didn't check the changes. Now let's do volunteer op changes. Is just the address postcode.
Yeah.
Then we're going to continue.
That's what we wanted.
Ooh, green! I love the green. Oh, hi. High five. Woo! Woo! There you go. Feels good, huh?
Oh yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, longer than I necessarily wanted to spend, but good to get to the bottom of that.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, so my big worry is that overall we've got something here that's a little bit too complicated, but potentially if that then fixes it up and it all works and it gets us to Rails 5, then it's very tempting to want to get there, isn't it? Let's see if that's check. I mean, there may be a cleaner way to. I mean, the interesting thing we want to look at is, you know, for active. I mean, there's a design smell here on the volunteer op form that, you know, just using attribute accessor by itself is a design smell that basically means that the state of the object can change at any time by anybody, right? I mean, what you want for an active model really is that you do pass it in at creation time, and then it can only be, you know, the object is managing its own state internally.
Yeah. So
we could get, did I say like Rails 5 active model, basics, active model classes for active plain Ruby objects, attribute methods, callbacks. Is there anything like on this is initialize an object? Now the interesting thing here is like it's here, and this is Rails 5. It's supposed to give us the ability to initialize an object with an attribute of hashes, but that didn't seem to be working.
No, for us, no.
And I wonder if that's related to the fact that it's got an underscore in it, or that we have attribute accessor set as well. And I mean, also then the strange thing is we've got attribute accessor, and then we've also got a method of the same name.
Yeah, overwriting it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like I feel like these should really just be attribute. No, these are the readers.
Yes, those are the readers. Yeah.
So this, in principle, this should be writer, but then even I would say, do we even need that? Could we just remove that?
Well, it seems so.
Like
right there.
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
I'm now got. Well, this would be the if we had the nice setup where I was managing the debugging through RubyMine, then we could like turn all of the bybugs off appropriately in one go. But I've still never managed to get it to work consistently. Let's just try that one time then here. So I really should go to lunch, but I'm kind of like, oh, there's things and other things, and I want to know. I want to know. So volunteer op. So allegedly, even in Rails 5, that's supposed to work. But yeah, we've over. I mean, the other thing there is. I think the problem with this is that I just don't know that these are even valid here. Let's continue with that. I think it's just going to fail, I think. So here, if we look at volunteer, that's nil here. And if we look at what volunteer op is going to be, yeah. I mean, it's, I guess it's maybe, and we'll just continue that. Oh, no, it was that relevant anyway. Yeah. Of course, we've got the thing is the first time around it loads. It is supposed to grab the first thing. I think something about the way that we've set these, is not working with the active records model. Like we're overwriting the thing, and like I think it's possible that the active model internally is not storing this as an instance variable. It's like maybe it's got a hash of its internal things. So there's with active model, potentially with Rails 5, there's a different way to call the individual things. And there's a better way of doing this, which is that you. So if we go in Rails, where you you alias an existing method. We do this in Ruby, and you alias it initially. So like alias, I always get remember alias start on. Is it alias, or what do we end up doing with it? Do we change it? Like what we would do here is we would say alias. What is it in? So we've got an existing on method. So we would alias it, and we would say volunteer op orig, and then do volunteer op. What we could do here is we could call that method here instead, right?
Okay.
I don't need a comma. Like that. And then if we ran this, thinking about it. So what this would do is this basically says, okay, we're about to override this method. We want to add some functionality to it. But we want to make sure that we can still re-access the original with whatever functionality is appropriate. And so there we go. Oop, undefined method volunteer op for class volunteer op form. Interesting. Volunteer op. I guess I think it might be alias. Oh gosh, it's not just alias it. We have to alias for yeah.
I think that I read it somewhere here, but I'm trying.
Oh, we go. When monkey patching method, can you call the overridden thing? And it's okay. Delegate different thing. Clean monkey patching. Oh gosh. Method wrapping. It's alias method. That's it, and it's dirty. I mean, it's like yeah, alias method. I think is the approach. But oh gosh, no. I mean, we've got kind of a mess to clean up here. Oh, what does alias method need? Alias method does need the comma.
I'm trying to find it. Alias methods.
Yeah, so this is the alias method should take the original method, rename it, and then we can overwrite it in order to use it. I've got that in the steps, but that undefined method volunteer op for class volunteer op form in alias method.
132.
Oh, what did they? I guess do you have to reopen the class? I can't do it like this. Oh well. Yeah. Well, I guess
I think you are writing it right.
I think I've got it right. I think that actually,
But
though,
you have to do alias method. Yeah, there. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think this technique, like I've got the example here. This technique, and it's dirty, but it works if we're reopening the class. But I think in this context, we've got the class, we've got this thing going on here. It's yeah. I thought there was a maybe. I definitely have to give up and go now. We've got an approach that works. It's messy as hell. I think what we're basically doing, I don't even know actually how it managed to work. What we have, so like this is the setup originally. I mean, the changes that I made in the volunteer ops controller was basically just like, I don't know that if this is necessarily being ignored or what it's doing, but the volunteer op is not being. Oh, come on.
Yeah, I think that what is happening is that the first time that you create the object is giving you the empty object, and after that we are making the relationship with the association with the volunteer op that already exists. So that.
Well, I think it definitely goes through twice. The thing is, then when it gets to the on the update cycle, for some reason, with all of this, whatever we've got, we can't part. It seems like that's screwing up the initial pass. Like the active model should, with its initialize method under the hood, be able to set the volunteer op appropriately.
So I will take a look to how to change that.
Yeah, cool. I step back.
But if it is working, I mean, we can just leave that and create another issue.
Well, I think we need to create a refactoring ticket which says, like, this is dragons that needs to be sorted out. I'm like trying to get in my mind like how this is kind of screwing it up. I mean, I think it was maybe that we can't. This is the dangerous thing, is that we're referring to an instance variable that maybe is not being set inside the active model. So this, when it calls this is nil. I don't know, but the funny thing is then that even if we set it explicitly, I don't know. We have a way of working. So I'm gonna go to lunch. That was an extra long after Scrum. Have a little look, see how further you can get. Stamatios, thanks for staying with us. I don't know if that was educational, interesting, but hope to speak soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Enjoy.